take us through the realization that it's too much time on the screen in order to unplug, because a lot of people might be going through that, but might not even be realizing that they are spending too much time on the devices or the screens. Like, what made you realize it and what made you act on it?
In terms of realizing it, I think I was looking back at how I was feeling, and I kept thinking, you know what? You're not as happy as you should be. You have your dream life now. And obviously there is that element of habitual adaptation, right? You get used to everything. But I was like, if 2 years ago, Kieran Drew knew what you were doing now, like, he would just be on like permanent cocaine or something. He'd be so goddamn happy. And when I was thinking about it, I realized that I was getting a lot of my self-worth, on Twitter. I get thousands of notifications a day. And at first, one of my rules, mate, was no social media on my phone. And I had it on my laptop. But then I was like, it's getting a bit impractical because, I need to send a DM every now and then. And before I knew it, every spare minute, I would try to fill by picking up my phone. And then I was like, well, how many, I like to read about a book a week. And, there was a point where I was only reading a book every 2-3 weeks and finding it really hard to focus. And I thought, you know what, there's this like source here, right? This like the thing that is pulling you away, your focus away. And also with the content side, which you maybe can relate to, it's like, you feel like you have to say the same thing as everyone else. And it happens very gradually because algorithms reward you for saying one thing and not saying the other. And then I started looking at my content and I was like, I don't think I would be a raving fan of what I'm saying. And I think that's really important, right? You have to the whole point was follow your own curiosity, scratch your own itch. And so I feel like I sort of lost track of the message a bit. And so no social media, no emails. I go on Twitter for like 20 minutes a day max. A lot of reading, a lot of thinking, a lot of walking. And the past 2-3 months, or like the product and stuff, it's all because of that. Because you get clear on what you're thinking about and stuff. So I don't think I'll ever come back on my phone, man. I think it's very toxic.
Yeah, it's a weird balance of like the paradoxical nature of it. If we think it's so toxic that it can hurt ourselves, but then we're putting content on the system, it's like hurting other people. It's like you have to do hoops with yourself to understand that it's ethical and moral. Like, if you really start thinking about it a lot, you start getting to the position of like, why even create content in the first place? Like, why even put stuff out at all? And then to the point where you start feeling upset that you look at your own content and you're like, this is not things that I would approve of or things that I would want to be saying. It's like, wow, that's a crazy thing. So like, what's your stance on social media today? Is it ethical? Is it moral? And if it is not, how can we still be putting stuff out on it?
Sure. It's a brilliant question. And so I think social media is shallow. I think it's toxic, and I think it encourages this like superficial nature, and everyone expects super fast results, right? Because that's just the nature of people projecting themselves. But it's also a tool, and I feel like a tool is only bad depending on the use case, right? Like, a fire is brilliant when you cook food. It's terrible when you burn the house down. And the same is true with social media, where it's the best opportunity we have. Like, the internet is the best megaphone in the world. And so you can make a real difference on people's lives. And the one thing I love about it is like, when I write, I might go and help 10 people, and those 10 people might go and help 100 people. And there's like this ripple effect of positive energy. And so this is the point where you need to be the source of positive energy. Because if your answer is to jump away from social media and think I don't want to be part of all this, you're causing the problem, right? Like, there's people like you, which I think you do beautifully, by the way, kind of combining this like spirituality, kind of philosophy around life, and I listen to your podcast and I'm like, I feel good, I've learned something, I feel motivated, and I feel like if creators are inspiring and teaching the person they used to be, and you're kind of focusing on the right things, that's brilliant. The other side of it is people need to educate themselves how to protect their attention.
How do they do that?
Well, like I said, you need to take off we have this obsession with frictionless, right? Everything has to be frictionless, seamless. the best thing you can do for the internet is introduce friction. So for example, to go on my email, I have to go into browser, and it's so annoying. So I don't do it. There's this app called Freedom where you can just pick which are blocked, right? Because, you know, digital dopamine is like one of the most addictive drugs in the world. And so, you know, you're going like, oh, I don't want to go on my social media in the morning. And then you're tired, and it's really hard not to when you're tired, right? But my phone will literally be like, look, you can't even go on anything for 18 hours of the day. So I don't think about it at all. Decision removed. So it's by introducing barriers, right? Rules and barriers.
What are those 18 hours? And what's the 6-hour window you have that you're allowed to use? Yeah. Is it social media, email? Is it like, how do you structure that?
Yeah. So it's everything, which I'm allowed onto. And that's from 1 p.m. till 7 p.m. So basically my rules, mate, are I wake up pretty early, like 5-ish. And that's not, I'm not like a hustle pro. What happened was I tried to, I always have to I've entered this like pro world online, but like I read fantasy for like 90 minutes a day. Like I'm not cool at all. I'm not like that guy. But the early morning thing, I told myself as a dentist, I'm going to spend 2 hours building my dream instead of my bosses, you know, when you start your day. And that just stuck. It was like writing in the morning is one of the most beautiful things, and banging out all your deep work before people are awake. Like it's just a brilliant feeling. So I'll do, you know, 4 hours of deep work, hit the gym, 2 hours of normal work. And then about then is 1-ish. And then I'm like, well, cool, man, you've done everything you need to do. Relax. And, you know, there's no apps on the phone, but I'll be allowed to go on Twitter on my browser or go on the computer. But for the most part, because I've done my workout, I'm kind of tired. I just want to read and walk. So, you know, I only spend maybe 20, 30 minutes on social and email. And email I only do once a week now. So just little rules like that.
Email you only do once a week.
Yeah. It was one of these like, it's like, you know, that expression that you've just said is because like, you can't do that. And I just remember thinking to myself, I think it was Derek Sivers where I was like questioning the norm, right? And I was like, you know what? I hate email. I hate replying to them. And I was like, well, what happens if you only reply every Monday evening when you're like done with your day? And usually Mondays are my worst days creatively, and nothing happens. So I just reply every Monday, and you know, people have to wait 5-6 days. If there's something like super urgent, which there never is, obviously I might reply sooner, but I don't look at my Gmail until Monday afternoon. And just, it sounds silly, but like it's these incremental improvements, they lead to clarity of thought, and clear writing, clear thinking, they kind of go hand in hand. So this is what the movement I'm on. Basically, I got too much time on my hands. So I'm playing around with all this stuff instead.
Nah, man, I think there really is something to it. And do you have like in your email signature, like only responds on Mondays or something like that? Like
Maybe I should, but no, I just leave it. Like, I think there's actually a bit of an implication that I'm busy anyway. Because, you know, the newsletter's got to about 28,000 people. And I think people maybe think I shouldn't be replying straight away anyway. So they don't mind. I think if I was in a 9 to 5, it'd be a little bit different, right? People get pretty annoyed.